In this video, you'll journey with us to Opolo Vineyards. However, this is a 2-for-1 treat because Opolo doesn't have just a winery, but also a distillery.
Yes, I was very excited that while we were in the wine tasting room, our host mentioned that they have a distillery that they had started. So Chris and I ran over to the distillery area and started doing some tasting. And boy, were we surprised. It really tasted great. So great that I bought 2 bottles and brought them back with me to Arizona.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So what I can do is, you guys can just head on to the tasting room.
Okay.
Did you guys want to do any lunch or anything like that?
Just tasting.
So just tasting? Okay, perfect. Yeah, just head on to the tasting room.
Hi. Come on. Virtual tasting in progress.
So, Phoenix is 118.
Is it humid over there?
No, not really, no.
Alright, so I'm going to start you guys off with some Roussan. This is our 2020 Roussan. It's a French-grown varietal, super elegant. Red fruits, apricot. It's like 105 years old.
I kind of want to get that now. The malt and oats. It's awesome.
All right. So as far as the production side and everything, that stainless steel guy that you see on the left-hand side
This
there.
big one here, yeah?
Yeah, we call that a pot still.
Okay.
This guy is capable of doing from start to finish 1 distillation. So we end up doing our stripping runs on that guy there. We can, like I said, we can do 550 gallons at a time.
Okay.
We'll do that first stripping distillation, and the product from that will be what we call our low wines. These big tanks on over here is what we use to store our low wines in. This guy on the right-hand side being empty. You can see this guy has our Singy wine in it, sitting at 90 proof right there. And then I believe this is also going to be the exact same over here.
Got it.
So from there, we'll take those low wines and we'll run them through the column still down there. That guy does 75-gallon runs at a time. So we'll start with our big 550-gallon stripping run, move it on over to our low wines to where then we can take 75 gallons from it at a time and do our whole distillation process there.
And are you getting all of this, the oats and the malt, like everything that's in this whiskey? Are you getting, like, let's just talk about the whiskey, because you do have the whiskey, the brandy or the cognac, right? You have, what else do you have over there?
I've got actually a few different kinds of brandies over there. We make a traditional Italian grappa, as well as a few different dessert liqueurs as well.
Right, so the fact that a lot of this land at one point was farmland, right? So are you getting the materials from these farmlands?
Mostly, yes. So for a lot, say our fig brandy and our chamomile liqueur. We start with a neutral brandy base for those ones. We use the leftover kind of sort of scraps, so to speak, from our different wine runs. So it is going to be a blend, but we find that that makes like a really kind of well-rounded sort of neutral brandy base. And then from there, we'll go ahead and steep in either figs or chamomile, depending on which one you're doing there. For our pear brandy, I do believe we outsource our pears, just because I do believe Washington State has got the best pears, so we outsource from Washington. As far as everything else, though, I do want to say we're doing it right here on our property. Cool. Yeah, we've got this property here is going to be about 140 acres of vineyard on this western side of Paso. Just south of 46 East on the other side of Paso, we have another property similar in size. I want to say maybe like 150 acres out on over there. And then we have our wine production facility, which is down in Templeton. It's going to be like a 45,000 square foot warehouse that we do.
Right, so the fact that you started with wine, but now you're doing Willow Creek Distillery, and so the whiskey is...
It's going to be grain-based. The straight American whiskey that we have over there, we use 40% corn, 30% malted oats, and then 30% barley as well. We used to do our own mash. We used to do everything on in here. But since COVID and everybody's been sitting outside, when we're working with the mash, we straight up smell like a bread factory coming out of here. So it kind of messes with the tastings that we have going on out there. That's interesting. So we had to stop doing the mash on in here. We actually collaborate with Slow Brew right now, just because the mashing equipment is brewing equipment, really similar stuff. So we collaborate with them, they do our mash, and then we do a little bit of distilling for their Rod and Hammer distillery as well. So
it's so funny that like that equipment looks so I don't know, like Willy Wonka, like kinda, right? It's like, why does it look like that? What are those little windows going up the? So
each we mostly end up using the column on the right hand side there. That middle column is essentially going to be a stripping column, which we can do over here at much larger quantities at a time. So we end up using that guy on the right. Between each window that you see, there's going to be what we call a bubble filter, which is essentially a plate filled with water. And as the evaporated alcohol is pushed on up through it, it'll get pushed through those water filters, bringing out all the impurities and everything.
So cool.
So each like level that you see going up there is one distillation. Starting over here on the right hand side, it goes up, and since we skip this middle column, it just ends up going up and through. That is going to be one distillation right there, to where it'll hit that column on the right side, and we can, open, close plates depending on how the run is tasting going as we're checking along the lines. So cool. And then that stainless steel cylinder that you see on the other side is going to be the condenser, where everything is condensed and then collected in those tanks just right underneath there.
And how long have you guys been, so you went from wine to adding this? When did you add this to
We started distilling back in 2013. It takes a few years, obviously, to distill, get that product up and ready to use. And then in 2016 is when we opened our distillery. So we're still fairly young. Growing every single year. Since opening our door here, we have actually outgrown the original still that we started with here. So we had to have that guy made for us and shipped on over. I mean, normally on a weekday too, you'll come on in here and seeing us doing some runs. Our head distiller right now is a little busy between products that we're getting ready to roll out later on this year, and then I don't know if you're familiar with our pear in a bottle brandy.
The young lady that's helping us with our wine tasting, she told us about the...
Oh yeah. Take a step closer.
Yeah, this is insane.
Entirely handmade.
That's crazy.
I know.
So cool.
Yeah,
Thank you. I appreciate
Of
that.
course,
Yeah,
of course.
it's so cool.
I mean, I hate to spend all that time polishing them and have nobody come back. Boom. And then
All right,
here's
cool.
our pear in a bottle brandy, which is pretty freaking cool. It's gonna be the same spirit as you can taste down here. Our pear brandy, we just brewed the pear inside the bottle, which is kind of where that sort of different amberish color comes
Yeah.
from, just the pear itself.
That's so
But
cool.
pretty wild stuff that it's grown inside the bottle.
So, are you going to do more whiskeys, you think, at some point?
Yes.
Or
Later on this year, we have, let's see, we have a Willow Creek bourbon, as well as a Willow Creek port aged rye. So that'll be a lot of fun. We've got a single malt that's going to be ready to roll out early on next year, and then as well as an XO brandy, similar to our VS, except for it gains the XO status by being barrel aged for 6 years. So at the very least, I want to say ship our Malts and Oats whiskey.